Hello everybody, my name is Jackie and welcome to Prairie Sports Talk, the podcast where we talk about sports that directly impact the Canadian Prairie. Today is Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. We got a little bit of a shorter episode today. The Broncos are finally looking like they're starting to turn it around just like I expected, and their chemistry seems to be growing and growing as a team. And now it's looking like they're getting ready to do some real damage this season. But we don't have much more to talk about outside of the Broncos. But that's for a good reason. Free agency for the CFL has officially opened. And I'm not going to be talking about that too much this episode because next episode I'm going to be making a bonus episode which will be focused entirely on recapping CFL free agency. So stay on the lookout for that. That should be coming out on Monday. But let's get on to this episode. So since the trade deadline, the Swift Current Broncos have been struggling a little bit. That's no secret to anyone who follows the WHL. They've been struggling. Since the deadline, they've lost to Mez and Hat. They've lost to Moose Jaw twice. They've lost to Saskatoon. And now we've lost to Brandon. But I don't think that's all necessarily a bad thing. Those first three games, they can very easily be excused by just pointing out that we had a lot of new players. The Broncos are still trying to establish new chemistry with players like Geeky and Galloway and Dvorak. But it's still rough to watch, especially when you go on a 2-hour bus trip out to Moose Jaw to watch your team play and they lose in the closing minute of the third period. Not that happened to me or anything. Nope, not at all. But then the Broncos looked like they started to get some momentum. They actually won back-to-back games with back-to-back shutouts, courtesy of Reed Dick. Reed Dick became the first Bronco since Landon Bow to get back-to-back shutouts. The Broncos beat Lethbridge in town 6-0 and then went out to Regina to beat the Pats 3-0. However, when they returned to Swift Current the next day after a very, very scrappy game against the Brandon Wheat Kings, the Wheat Kings ended up escaping with the extra point in overtime. The Broncos' last three games were a 6-0 win, a 3-0 win, and a 5-4 loss. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing that we lost to Brandon and that we lost to Saskatoon. They're both very skilled teams, in my opinion. And they're likely teams that will probably make the playoffs unless something unexpected happens. And in both of those games, the Broncos escaped with a point. They got into overtime before losing. Overtime losses always are rough. But the thing is, you still get a point. And that's very important for the playoff race. Because the Broncos are still technically not like 100% comfortably in a playoff seat. I believe we still are in a playoff seat. I could be wrong on that. So if I am, please correct me in the comments down below or on Twitter. That is JACKYKNOBS if you want to follow me. But I'm not overly upset about that. It definitely sucks that we've lost so many games since the deadline, but now we've got a major homestand coming. We've got 4 consecutive games at the Innovation Plex, followed by 1 game at the Brand Center in Regina, followed by another 3 games at the Innovation Plex. It is very important that the Broncos take advantage of this homestand. They're getting a homestand as we get closer and closer to the late part of the season. They gotta get a decent amount of points in the playoff race out of this. Now, looking ahead for the next couple games, the Broncos played Red Deer in town last night, and I don't know how it went. Because I record this on a Monday, so the game technically hasn't happened for me. But these episodes go live on Wednesday, so I guess we'll see. But then we got Edmonton in town. I'm not overly familiar with how Edmonton is doing this season, but I see no reason that we shouldn't win. Then we got Saskatoon coming to town. Should be a really hard-fought game. And I'm just realizing my St. Louis Blues jersey is the same colors as Saskatoon. Oops, didn't think that through. But Saskatoon, that should be another hard-fought game. I think that's likely going to go to overtime as well. I think the Broncos should win that as well, just because it's a home game. And with the home crowd, if they're into it, the Broncos should be able to just squeeze past the Blades. And then Lethbridge comes to town again after a very, very scrappy game against them just this past week that actually ended with quite the fist fight, to say the least. Pavlik and Onston got into it as the game ended, and the refs just kind of let them go. Sometimes you gotta let the players fight after the game, get it out their system. Hopefully the next time they meet, this kind of thing will be a little calmer. But with how intense this rivalry has been in recent years, I don't think that's going to change anything. I think it's going to be another really scrappy game, and I just hope it doesn't have the same ending that this game did. Because Onston, who actually is from Swift Current, when he won the fight against Pavlik and the ref started to pull him off, Onston started punching the ref. It's inexcusable. It really is. But for whatever reason, Onston didn't get any form of punishment from the league. I don't necessarily agree with that. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and argue that he should be suspended for a game or two at least. Because, well, that's not a position I'm in. I'm not somebody who is very familiar with how player safety rules, or personnel safety rules I should say, are done in the WHL, so I shouldn't be giving my opinion on something that I'm not very informed on. And then after that, the Broncos travel out to Regina to take on the Pats. Yeah, this should be a win. It should be. The Broncos just beat the Pats the other day in Regina as well. 3-0. Reed Dick looked tremendous. As the WHL keeps saying, he looked ridiculous. Ridiculous? Get it? Yeah, I'm sure you get it. You guys are smart enough. I think the Broncos should win that one as well. And then the next game, the Pats actually come to town. And I think the Broncos should likely win that. I would assume that Reed Dick starts one of those games and Joey Rocha starts the other. And I think the Broncos should probably win at least one of those. I think they will win both, but definitely should win at least one. Rocha was a little bit off his game in his last start against Brandon, but he's human. It's gonna happen. He's gonna have rough nights every so often. It happens to every player in every sport. Reed Dick came in, he got us into overtime. Unfortunately, Brandon still got the game-winning goal, but he at least got us another point for the playoffs. And then we finish up the homestand with a game against Moose Jaw and a game against Medicine Hat. It should be a very tight game with Moose Jaw. That's not that shocking to me to say that, because these are two very good teams who made a lot of moves at the deadline, specifically with I apologize if I butcher this city's name, I'm still learning to pronounce it, but the Wenatchee Wild, who traded Connor Geekie to the Broncos and Matthew Savoy to the Warriors. I think that it should be a very scrappy game as well, just because that's the brand of hockey the Broncos play. I think the Broncos should win this. They always are able to put up a fight with the Warriors, even if they've lost the last couple meetings with them. I think the Broncos will be very hungry to win this one, so I don't see any reason they won't. And then finally, they close the homestand against the Medicine Hat Tigers. The Tigers, they certainly exist. That's about the best thing I can say about them this season. They are a team that exists. But the Broncos have played them not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 5 times, not 6 times, but they will play them 8 times before the season is over. 8! That's insane to me. Fortunately, the Broncos will no longer be in the same division as the Tigers next season, so hopefully we won't see that happen again. But the Broncos probably should win this. Now, just before we finish up today's episode, I just want to talk a little bit about a funny incident that happened in the Brandon Swift Current game last Saturday. Connor Geeky had a gorgeous opportunity right in front of the Brandon Wheat Kings net. He rips a powerful wrist shot on the power play, and it hits the Brandon Wheat Kings goalie right in the mask. The puck bounces back to Geeky. He goes to wind up to take another wrist shot, but the play is whistled dead. Now, I'm on the other side of the rink. I couldn't tell exactly what happened right away. But after watching it for a few moments, I saw a player from the Wheat Kings skate over to the goalie and take his mask. The player then skates over to the bench and they work on his mask. And I suddenly realized Connor Geeky's shot broke something off the mask of the Wheat Kings goalie. I've seen things like that happen before. I've seen it happen where powerful shots break masks. Recently I shouldn't say recently, it was about last season, Alex Ovechkin ripped a really strong shot against former Swift Current Broncos goaltender Joel Hofer in the Washington St. Louis game. The puck hits him square in the mask, and the mask breaks. But here's the thing. Usually when masks break, it's from a slap shot. It's from a very, very stereotypical powerful shot. But when Geeky shot the puck, it was a wrist shot. Geeky has a nasty wrist shot, and it is something to behold in person. So it shouldn't surprise me, even though it does surprise me, that his wrist shot has that much power behind it. I will link the clip in the description of Geeky's wrist shot breaking the mask, but I just thought that was interesting and I figured I would share it with everyone. But that is everything I have for you guys this week. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening to it on the 13th Man Podcast Network on Spotify, be sure to give them a follow as well. If you're looking to follow me on Twitter, again, that is JACKYKNOBS. That is Jackie Knobs. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. Stay safe, stay strong, you got this, and this is Jackie for Prairie Sports Talk signing off.